All right, got some more questions from people. No, ma'am, jokingly says, I wasn't really listening until you got to the part about getting a raise for snorting coke and slamming drugs in your arm. Is your business hiring? And again, I'm going to treat all questions seriously. Yes, there are plenty of people in my industry that are getting hired every day, but no, you don't get a raise for snorting coke and slamming drugs. That was the point of what I was saying. You don't need experience in using every hard drug in order to counsel people trying to get right with their lives. Let's see. Bugsy's Evil Deeds asks, have you ever been the ears for someone's fifth step? And the answer to that is no. And most of that is because I don't attend any 12-step groups myself. I have never been a member of any home group for 12-step meetings. I have had to chaperone people to plenty of them, whereby I would go to where the clients are. They might be in a residential setting where they're not allowed out, and they're taking a little field trip to the 12-step group and then going back, and I would be there present in the meeting. But no, I've never been a sponsor to anyone, and I've never gone through the steps myself. In fact, I have a lot of problems with the steps. Now, in previous videos on my channel, I have said that I attended a 12-step group called Free Thinkers in AA that's down at the Secular Hub in Denver. And I checked that out to see if there was some sort of 12-step group I could refer someone to if they were not themselves a very spiritual person. And so that's about my experience with 12-step groups right there, is sitting in on them as a non-participant and going to a few to check them out to see if they're good places to refer people to, depending on what their needs are. Now, my problems with the 12-step philosophy in general are many, and they don't stop with just me being an atheist and the steps requiring that you believe in a higher power, okay? And all of the arguments against dismissing 12-step groups because you're an atheist, to me, fall flat, especially the one that says, oh, well, a doorknob could be your higher power, No, if you look at the context of what higher power means in the 12 steps, if you read the chapter in the big book about agnostics, and if you just take the steps and the traditions in their proper context, you cannot have a higher power that isn't a monotheistic, all-powerful being. Okay? And so, to me, 12-step groups in general are for people who have some spirituality that they believe in. And so, I wouldn't normally recommend to an atheist client to go to a 12-step group, because they're just going to get hung up on the steps. They're going to stop and go, this isn't just an addiction problem now. Now I have to address, do I want to stay non-religious, or do I want to convert to a religion? That's really muddying the waters there, because it's not just a problem with the substance anymore. But also, there are other things that I have as a problem myself with the 12-step philosophies, and the biggest one that stands out to me is the problem of lack of agency. Telling people that they're powerless against the substance that they're addicted to me robs them of the ability to think of themselves as having agency. I wouldn't be counseling people if I thought that they had no chance of turning their life around short of a miracle happening. If that was my belief, I would be a priest instead. Yeah, I would just lead people to prayer. What I do is evidence based, and it has a lot to do with changing the way people think about things. And if you're going to start off, with the premise that people have no ability to change their own lives without the help of an all-powerful being, then that's not something that I really advocate at all. I feel like it's disempowering people. So, no, I have never been the ears for someone's fifth step, where they would make a good personal inventory and divulge to their higher power and one other person. No, I've never listened to somebody's confessions, as it were. But as a very common thing in my job, yes, I do hear a lot about people's lives. It's I don't need a program with a fifth step in it in order for me to hear some really messed up things about the way people have led their lives. So I might have even more experience with what would the kind of things that would come out in the fifth step, just not in that context. And last question for this video, L. Francis wants to know, what sort of jobs would allow me to work with people in that capacity with a lower degree? And he's talking about the field of addictions. And he said that, or actually, he's just talking about psychology. He says, one reason I was initially scared to study psychology in undergrad is because everyone told me I needed 4+ years of postgraduate study if I wanted a job. What sort of jobs would allow me to work with people in that capacity with a lower degree? Now, Indeed is a great website as far as a meta search of all different job search websites. And just by going to Indeed and plugging in addiction and bachelors in Denver, Colorado, I came up with 17 full-time jobs are listed, 6 part-time, 2 contract. And if I were to leave out the word bachelors, it's actually hundreds. So there is an explosion of jobs once someone gets a postgraduate degree. Yes. But there are still jobs that you would get along the way towards that degree. And many times it's not the degree that matters as much as the experience and the licensure hours that you would have gotten in those lower tier jobs. When I first started my path as far as transitioning from a career as an electrician, making a lot of money, to trying to start at the bottom of the totem pole again in transitioning to using my degree in psychology. I initially was eyeballing a lot of CPS jobs, working with Child Protective Services, and there's plenty of those. And the problem there is that, yeah, they want behavioral sciences degrees, but there really seems to be this bias towards social work degrees. There's that social worker mafia. The union is strong within them, and they really have this bent to make everybody else go get a social work degree and go through that course of study before they get into the jobs that they have control over as the gatekeepers. So it is hard to get into CPS work or like get a state job with a psychology degree. I have seen it be very easy for people to become probation officers. And a lot of people who have a degree in psychology, they they have a problem with working with either the criminal justice system itself or privatized services that handle any sort of criminal justice overflow work. Even if I were to look at just in the addictions field on Indeed right now, I'm looking right at it. There's a job from Geo Reentry Services, and the Geo Group is a private prison group, you know, and so there's a lot of these kind of private prison jobs that, especially with reentry, that you could get with having a degree in behavioral sciences. A lot of people have a problem with that, and so there's this divide, just like there is between social workers and psychologists within the same career paths. There's this divide that's almost like a political thing. If you are a conservative person who has one of these degrees, yeah, you have no problem working for a for-profit private prison company, or the criminal justice system itself. And then you have the people who would, if they're left-leaning, they're going to head more towards working for a non-profit group, or trying to work in the VA, working with veterans, working with homeless people. There's a whole bunch of homeless outreach groups that will hire for psychology and addiction, that have lower tier jobs because they're trying to grow their own, as far as they expect that if they're going to invest a whole bunch of years in you while you're going to school for your post grad degree, they're going to hire you and try to train you up into being what they want, because a lot of these jobs, they don't really respect the amount of time that you've sat in a classroom, right? What they respect is the amount of job experience you have. And if it's with the wrong sort of system, they would rather start with somebody, who's got, a bachelor's degree and has a good work ethic, than somebody who has a post-grad degree and is used to a different system working for somebody else. They'd rather, teach people their method of doing things. And so, yeah, I think that there's just this giant old wives' tale about you can't get a job without having more than just an undergrad degree. There are plenty of jobs out there. All you have to do is do a simple search on any sort of job website, and you'll find that there are jobs out there. And there are more jobs in the cities for behavioral sciences than there are in urban areas, in rural areas. But they're there. I'm looking at addiction and bachelor's as a search right now, and the average salary on like 333 jobs in that category is $19.83 an hour, right? And that's not chump change there. That's enough to provide for yourself while you're getting your post-grad degree. It's more than flipping burgers would get you, unless they raise the minimum wage to where everyone makes that much money. But that's another video, isn't it? All right. I got a couple more questions, and then I think I'm headed to celebrate some holiday stuff with family.